Now, this next story I'm about to bring you is one of courage, bravery, and resilience. It's how a mum saved her newborn baby while terrorists were banging on the door of her safe room. Have a look.
Well, around about 6:30 in the morning, sirens started going off, and Amy called me. I was in another bedroom and she was sleeping in the safe room, and she called me to come. So I picked up my phone, funny enough. My little dog got scared and he ran into the living room under the couch. I ran to the room and I'm on the bed with Amy and her husband Uriel, and I'm laughing because I said, wow, look, I'm in bed with my daughter and her husband. And I was laughing, and Uriel said, don't worry, in 10 minutes we'll be having our early morning coffee. And it just went on and on and on, and at some stage, I mean, very close to then, Amy decided to look at her phone, at the camera from the living room, and she said to me, they're trying to get in. The Hamas terrorists are trying to get in.
We felt the house shake when they were trying to push in the door and break it down, but they couldn't, so what they did is that they just shot at the lock of the door, and that's exactly the same time that the electricity just went out.
We all went in to do what we had to do. I took the baby and I put my finger in his mouth to soothe him and to stop him crying, and he was only being breastfed, so you know there was no bottle or anything. And Amy and Uriel instinctively, I don't know how, knew to hold the handle of the safe door up.
They managed to put it just like
Just
a crack.
But if you can imagine, you've got these monster fighters on one side, and you've got this woman who's just had a baby.
A newborn mum. That's what I can't believe, that you had the strength to win in that battle against the terrorists, keeping the door shut.
Yeah, and of course she had a difficult birth, so it wasn't an easy birth, but one has to understand that Amy is a black belt in karate and Krav Maga, and she was a fighter in the army.
And probably a mother's survival instinct for her child and the adrenaline of the moment.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure.
Clap! Kai, clap! Yay!
So they couldn't get into the safe room, and instead they lit the house on fire.
They just dragged the furniture to the back
of the door.
We heard them do it, and then suddenly we see through the little crack, we see flames, and my husband says they're burning the house. And then I guess they ran out. We were left to die.
Then, unfortunately, we heard my dog scream until he died. Don't know if it was 2 minutes or 10 minutes, however long it took for my little dog to die.
You heard him burn to death in the flames.
He screamed. He just screamed and screamed. And after that point, I just wasn't there anymore. So for the next, you have to ask Amy, because I was on the floor.
For about 6 hours.
Disassociated with.
Just so distressed at that agonising
I think
scream.
I just prepared myself to die. That if I'd have died, I wouldn't have felt the pain or the burning, or I don't know. It's what my therapist is helping me deal with and come to terms with and understand, because I still don't really understand it. I don't understand why I couldn't help them, why I gave up. But maybe if I hadn't have given up, maybe I would have been the one to jump out the window or freak out. So you don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but I do know that I wasn't there to help them. In fact, Amy, she's not only got to look after a baby, but she's got to look after a mum as well, and drag me to the window to breathe.
And so, Amy, what advice did the fire brigade give you when you spoke to them?
Well, first of all, he wanted to know what the situation was with the smoke. So what he told me was, if we see the ceiling, we're still okay. because smoke rises. So, I mean, mainly it's to try and block the door with anything. I was by the door most of the time because I was afraid that they were going to try and come in again.
Yeah.
So I just kept up.
So you were still holding the
I was
handle.
holding, when it got too hot, I just took like clothes and held the handle with some clothes, and my husband held Kai by the window. Eventually the firefighter said, look, you have to get him some fresh air. If it's possible, crack a little opening in the window and just put him up against it and let him breathe. I mean, there was soot coming out in his mouth and nose. Every time each of us held him up to the window, we would look out to see if there were any terrorists. And then around 2 o'clock, maybe just before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there's me at the window with Kai, too tired to hold him up, so I just lay him on the windowsill. That's the famous picture of him on the windowsill. And then I see, or I first hear them, I hear Hebrew. And then I look out and I see soldiers going through house to house. And I just take a piece of clothing and I just wave it out the window, and I hear them say, there they are, they're at the window. And I just knew that they were looking for us. They knew we were there, and they were there for us. And
That must have been the most incredible feeling.
it just made me it gave me the ability to breathe. You know, it's like you were holding your breath until that one moment, and you knew that they were there for you and they were going to save you.
So you saved Kai's life by letting him get that air on the windowsill.
By doing probably the one most dangerous thing we could have.